Okay, hello everyone, my name is Maarten and in this video I'm gonna draw a mandala. So I'm just gonna start right away, like that. By the way, thanks to everybody who saw my mandalas on Reddit. Your comments and upvotes were very encouraging. But anyway, here's a mandala. The thing is, I don't really make a schedule beforehand. I usually just make some figures like this. It's a bit more free form. So I see a lot of people on YouTube who make a lot of lines beforehand, like to make it completely symmetrical, right? Damn. Right. First mistake. Like this line over here. But I would definitely follow Bob Ross's mantra that there's no mistakes, just happy accidents. I always find that a very funny remark. But anyway, I draw these mandalas pretty much free form. I usually only have a vague idea about the first few layers. So before I started this one, I thought, okay, make a few dots and make this outer circle, and that's it. From there on, I just sort of make it up as I go along, so to speak. This is the last thing I really had in mind beforehand. And the thing is, this is the first time I record this. And people told me they liked my mandalas. They said it was very calming to watch me draw them as well. And people told me I have a voice for something like this. So, well, I thought I'd give it a try. So, we've got a first layer here. And this will be our colored mandala. So, I usually make just a few layers. Well, let's just start with red. A few layers like this. And expand bit by bit. Make a few layers in black. I think I got a bit of ink spread out there, but never mind. Yeah, that's basically how it goes. You start with a shape and you make a few shapes around it. And there's really no guideline except, well, there's a few guidelines I sort of hold on to, and that's just saying to myself, well, what would be a nice shape, and just whatever comes up, that will be what I'm making. So I just look at, for example, just in a few minutes, I'll be looking at these lines over here and thinking, well, what would be nice to add? What would I like to see over there? And yeah, it's really not more difficult than that. And it doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical at all for me to like the shapes I make. It's nice it's nice. Oh yeah, that's the second guideline I usually hold on to, and that's not that it has to be perfectly symmetrical, but that the shapes have to correspond around the whole circle. So making these dots, for example, it doesn't really matter that there are just a bit fewer dots over here than there are over here, that there's a bit more white space. It matters that the dots arrive here, that they arrive around the circle. And it doesn't matter that they're not making a perfect circle at all for it to look nice. I think one person on Reddit said it had a very nice organic texture, so I guess that's how you can call it. Yeah, I can color it in. Yeah, and I just find it a very calming experience to make some shapes like these, and give it a yellow. Yeah, I've also seen these whole coloring books, coloring books for adults, I think they call them. Where you have these pre-made mandalas and you get to color them in. I don't think I've ever done that. It does seem very relaxing as well. But it's at one point I just I hear a lot of people, and that's what I was doing as well, like making doodles during college or during a phone talk or whatever, making doodles in a sketchbook or on the side of your notebook, and people make these kind of shapes all the time. And at one point, I just thought, well, what if I just take them further? And I'd seen a lot of mandalas. I'd seen those made by Tibetan Buddhists. Those are fascinating. I think it was the documentary by Werner Herzog, The Wheel of Time. Absolutely fantastic documentary. And they show it just very briefly. They show the mandala very briefly, but then the Dalai Lama, he comments on it. He comments on the, let me see, just a few ovals. He comments on the mandala, and you see he calls it, I think the term he uses is a memory of an inner architecture. Well, it's of course a bit of a spiritual metaphor there, but I can imagine when you've done intense meditation, or perhaps just went tripping for a while, that you get to experience a sort of inner architecture that looks like a mandala. So, just moving on. Well, we can already see pretty quickly that my little circle has evolved into a what's it called? A hexagon? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, a hexagon. Sort of squishy hexagon. All right. Well, let's see. Basically, what I usually do to make it easier for myself is I have this, well, call it a repertoire of shapes or types of shapes I use. So in my other mandalas, if you've seen them on Reddit or somewhere else, I usually just try out one new one per mandala, or one or two, and in the other ones, like that. The other ones, I try to experiment using just known methods. So a row of lines like this pretty quickly gives a nice effect. And again, they don't really have to be that neat for it to work. This one is a bit messy though. This, gotta correct him a bit. The thing is, I'm using a fountain pen, so corrections are pretty difficult to make. I can scratch away just a bit of ink, but you always, well, okay, let me see. With an eye for perfection that artists often have, you will always see the correction. Not at first glance, but if you know where it is. Like that. Right. So, this one over here. Alright. Well, and it's time for a bit of coloring. So, and with the coloring as well, there's not really anything strict rules you need to follow. Just use a few colors. What I do adhere to is that I don't put like red here and then another layer of red, or yellow, red, yellow. At least until now, I've tried it that way. I mean, of course, we could do whatever we want. But I've noticed that making a sort of order of which color you use when. So right now I've just chosen at random red, blue, green, yellow, and I'm starting again with red, blue, green, yellow. And I've noticed that gives a nice effect. But you can go any way you want. You can make the whole thing yellow, the whole thing red, and nobody's gonna charge you for that. Nobody's gonna sue you for choosing whatever colors you want to add. I mean, go purple, go all black and white, go whatever you want. But you know, I just really like using this order, and that's all perfectly fine. And you know, if you sort of like over here, tiny bit, I don't know if you can see, there's a tiny bit of red over there. You know, no man overboard as well. It's whatever you make of it. You can just go over it, ignore it. Totally fine. Red, blue. I think I'm keeping this white for now. Could be nice. Could be nice. Gotta be a bit careful not to go into the small ovals and these circles here. Okay, and there's also one thing happening when you start, you know, when you start small, it's you know, you're quickly finished with the circle. Like making these dots is almost no work. This is a little bit of work, but from here on it starts getting more and more and more. So the trick is patience. One thing you really learn when making mandalas in this way is just patience. Alright, my camera went out a minute ago, no worries. I've got this old Canon, this Canon 550D, which is like an old DSLR, like one of the first ones you could do any decent filming with. Only problem is, well, it's gotten a bit old, so it might not be the first time my camera falls out. No worries, I'll just continue. Alright, and we're back full circle, as you might say. Alright, back full circle. So you can see really already starting to see it grow. Just a few layers, you know. We started pretty simple and already it's kind of pretty nice and colorful. Let's see, what do we add? I think like this, and then we can attach to, yeah. So yeah, that's another thing. If you think of a pattern, you gotta take into account if you have enough lines or enough, well, if it fits. Just the thing, like I was trying to create a gap here, these gaps, but it's only possible if you have an even number of places to make the gaps, otherwise you're gonna get stuck. And sometimes that's okay, and sometimes you gotta figure something out. So right now we got everything we need. Just gonna continue this way. Again, this is like basically improvised. That's the fun. Like, there's no predetermined shape that you have to make. There's no demands for any final result. Just do whatever comes up. And as long as you think it's fine, you know, it's probably gonna be beautiful. It's probably gonna be a unique piece of geometric art only you have made, only you will make. I don't think it often happens if you make random forms like these that someone else will make exactly the same. I'm guessing not. So let's see. Let's add some triangles. Could be nice. All right. Yeah, the easiest thing just to let it flow. I made some triangles, and a messy triangle, I have to admit, over here. Made some triangles, and you know, those triangles, they're pointing somewhere. Yeah, I don't think about it like that explicitly, but you know, these triangles are pointing. The easiest thing to continue the pattern is to add some dots. Just add anything that's anything that fits. So all right, there we go, another couple of layers. Let's go for yellow. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, these are just ordinary colored pencils, by the way. I was at my parents' house, and well, there's just this old shoe box filled with pencils and dried up markers and all. I just grabbed a few. I used to make mandalas only black and white, and somebody suggested to me, hey, why don't you try them in color? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Could be a lot of fun, and it was. And it's just the color pencils, they're very easy to use. They got these sort of well, what would you call it? The texture when you use colored pencils is you got these subtle coloring differences. Like, I'm not doing everything perfectly yellow, perfectly filled in. They're like these subtle differences in coloring, but on the whole, they give a very nice effect. It's as easy as, you know, literally toddlers use them. So it's the easiest thing. You could do this in paint, you can do this in whatever, you know, people do it with, what's it called, these diamond paintings or something. You can, yeah, mandalas are possible in any possible shape and form, but for starters, you know, it's not a problem at all. You take this simple drawing medium and use it to give some spice to these shapes and forms. So back to the red, following our simplistic rainbow of a color palette. There we go. Gotta watch the edges. And once we got these filled in with red, you know, we can choose Are we gonna do these balls as well, or is it gonna be a bit more random? And you know what? This is my first recording. Let's go for a bit random. These are gonna be blue, and triangles as well. Let's just go for it. One thing with blue sometimes is that it doesn't quite register, because it does kind of look like gray from a distance. I don't know how well it shows up on the camera, but sometimes when you got these really small shapes, the blue sort of falls away. But you know, let's not get taken aback by such risks. There, blue circles. Blue, fuck, you know. Well, that happens. I'm gonna pause the camera. One moment. Okay, and I'm back. Guess I'm don't know my strengths or something, because that pencil just broke without warning. There we go. Alright, I think this is gonna be a nice one if I look at it the way it's growing now. You know, my feeling about these mandalas, there are quite a few theories. I just mentioned the Dalai Lama. I think Carl Jung wrote about it as well. No, don't know a lot in detail about what he thought about these, but you know, my feeling is that if you draw a mandala just out of the blue, just see what happens. It can be a representation or just maybe a mirror image of something happening in the mind, you know. And I don't mean that in any sort of vague spiritual sense. For some people, of course, it might be, but for me, you know, if you draw a mandala and it looks peaceful, it looks sort of calming and beautiful, well, probably that's because you're expressing something in a calm state of mind. And you know, that proposition, that it's a reflection of a calm state of mind, to me that fits perfectly well within modern neurological science, but as well within a lot of spirituality. I don't think you have to be a neurologist to see, sort of instinctively feel what these mandalas do to you, and how they can be a reflection of a person. I once had a sort of really stressful week, just a lot of things happening. Details are not important, but it was a stressful week. I was in college, I think, and I just quickly drew a shape, not exactly a mandala, but quickly some shapes around it, and it just looked like a sort of blob was getting attacked. Basically, that was it. It was a blob getting attacked. But you know, making a shape unthinkingly and seeing and recognizing suddenly that something's happening in the shape, in this case a blob getting attacked, you know, to me that means something. To me, it means you can sort of read. I could read my own stress in that image. That's all I say. And I took some time off, and I was fine afterwards. Didn't take any crazy pills. I didn't put myself on an MRI scanner. I just sort of read what I made. Right now I'm feeling good. Right now I'm feeling fine. And you know, see what happens. You got this mandala right here. In the meantime, you can see I'm not exactly following the lines while making this. Just making a new shape with the green I'm adding. And well, this, because I think my feeling is if I put green around this, it won't combine very well with the blue. So what I'm gonna do is just fill in this to make it green, like that. Oh yeah, continuing on my point about the neurology and all. I mean, what I want to say is you can approach this from a hard scientific standpoint, and that will be interesting, or you can approach it from a more spiritual, philosophical, or even religious attitude, and it will be equally interesting. You can have like this feeling, oh, it expresses the mind, with mind being whatever you want it to be, or you can say this mandala is an expression of the combined efforts of my neurological infrastructure and muscles, and somehow it produces this crazy shape. And to me, in both statements, there's an equal amount of fascination happening. How come a pile of muscles and neurological infrastructure make this shape instead of searching for food? That's fascinating. And if you perhaps take the more spiritual side, well, you could think about how a mandala is the expression of an inner harmony of the soul, of communion with the larger universe. And I'm saying it with a certain dramatic expression, but there's very much something in it. Even in a hard sort of quote unquote hard scientific worldview, there's still the whole universe to contend with. There's still the point to contend with, that we're humans with a certain life in a certain time and place, with a big universe around us, only limited understanding. And somehow, sometimes we experience mandalas. Go and explain that. I'll be very curious. Well, I guess I'm not lucky. It happened again. I'm just gonna go on. All I was saying, I think, was that the Southern Americans were definitely not shy of a little trip here and there. I mean, if you look at the art, if you look at the stone mushroom gods they found, I don't know exactly which society that was, but there are quite a few hints. So I guess the Mayans sort of liked these shapes as well. But me, I'm just making it. I'm just drawing it as I go. And we close it neatly there. All right, there we go. Let's see. Very sorry for the interruption again. Anyway, he would always give great advice or lessons on how to draw, but with the circle he was like, no, you just gotta make it. Sometimes I just do it like this. Sometimes I try to imagine making like 3 quarters, and sort of imagine the 90 degree, another 90 degree, another 90 degree, and sort of close it in. You get quite a nice circle. With these small ones, it doesn't quite matter that much if they're not perfectly round. The search for the perfect circle. Well, we're not finding it here. Bam. Right, and we're already sort of nearing the end of this one, simply because we're reaching the end of the paper. I've made ones that were quite larger, like maybe 3 times as big as this one. And at one point you gotta end it, and you can sort of make it grow to the other side of the paper, but not as pretty. You get some weird stuff going on. We gotta end it soon. Too bad. Well, let's see. Yeah. Okay, with some interruption, trying to finish this mandala here. Some of the last striped lines of stripes, I don't know. And I'll just add one other layer, I think, do the coloring, and then we're basically done with this one. So, right. Well, how to finish a special little mandala like this? Well, my feeling says we just add we add a few dots, few of these to give it some, I don't know, some outward movement, if you like. Outward movement in composition. It's really nicest when somehow the shapes make you look from the inside to the outside and back. The whole thing is pointing either inside or outside or both. Usually pointing outside is the most interesting. I think I'll leave it at this. Just do some less coloring, and then we got it. We stopped at green at the last layer, so let's give this right here some yellow. Is this still okay? Yeah, this pencil's still working. I hope you can see it on the camera. I'm not exactly sure. Might have to make a new point. Turn this video into an ASMR, who knows? Right now, I'm gonna make a new point on my pencil. No, I'm not into ASMR, everyone. It's not my thing. This is not gonna be mandala drawing ASMR. No, this is regular mandala drawing, if there is such a thing. I'm afraid I still have to make a new one quickly. There we go. Hope this one doesn't break, because of my enthusiasm for adding yellow. There we go. Halfway through. As I said, patience is key. You know, it sounds strange maybe, but you gotta enjoy sort of doing these repetitions. If you don't enjoy it, it's gonna be a bit of a frustrating endeavor. And it did happen to me that I just at some point like want too much detail. If I just add like millions of dots or just way too many lines, and it takes a long time to finish, it's always a nice result. But then there comes a point where it's not just relaxing or fun to finish it. You gotta work for a bit. Sometimes you gotta work for a bit when you're adding more difficult shades, perhaps just complex figures. I mean, I do just circles or simple lines here, but you could like do a whole figure, like a flower, or I don't know, perhaps an animal. I think the Tibetan mandalas are quite complex sometimes. They have like winds or clouds and animals, all sorts of creatures roaming around. and gods and whatnot. Text as well. You can go wild with the text. But for now, I've been using these simple designs, simple shapes, repeating, and I was quite happy. I think I'll experiment more in the future, but just keep it at this. Add some of the reds. So I don't know about you, I'm not like talking the whole time perhaps, most of the time while I'm drawing, but I'm not the type of person, you know, that like keeps talking just to keep talking. I usually just say something when something comes up that seems worth saying. I'll have to get, if I get any viewers, well, you have to give me some feedback whether you enjoy talk or silence or just a bit of both. Perhaps, you know, viewers will like different things, and well, then I'll just have to do whatever I want, which I'm probably gonna do anyway. Very useful talk there. You see, that's what happens when I keep talking just to keep talking. Weird things come out, and I shoot into the yellow. Damn. Gotta live with that. Gotta live with that bit of red in the yellow. So I'll be, will I do the last circles or leave them white? Red, blue, green, yellow, red, blue. Nah, leave them like this. It's fine. I like it. Red and white is a nice dramatic contrast. We can wrap this up. Like this. All right, well, there we have him. My first recorded mandala. I hope you enjoyed watching this. I hope you enjoyed hearing me talk. I guess I'll add a time lapse afterwards. I'll upload a separate video as well. But I had fun anyway. I hope you enjoy it. I'll make a few more of these, and I hope to see you later. Good day.